Every time I come to a secret knock, this is my second one, I leave differently because I leave saying, I like me best when I'm with you. I want to see you again. We're so into these one-liners, and you're rewarded with candy from the great and amazing Greg Reed. But just maybe in the 10 minutes that I've been given, I can do my best to blow your mind with the challenge that you will leave Secret Knock different than you've ever been in your life. Do you think we can talk about some things in 10 minutes that will blow your mind? I do. One-liner to set the tone. Today, you've never been this old before. And today, you'll never be this young again. So right now matters, and every right now matters, which means, as we've heard all day, yesterday and today, no matter what your past has been, you have a spotless future, which means you can't always control what happens, but you can always control what happens next. Are you with me? So my question right out of the chutes is, do you believe that one moment in time can change you forever? I do. Proof. I was on the program with Henry Winkler, the Fonzie from Happy Days, clearly one of the funniest guys I've ever met. The tragedy in this is some of you in this room are so young, you don't even know who I'm talking about, and that's a tragedy. You need to Google this guy, the coolest guy who ever lived. Started in a 1970s sitcom called Happy Days. He played the character of the Fonz. Henry Winkler and I, we finish our speeches. He decides he wants to take some time off, treat himself to a matinee movie. So he slides in through the side exit door of the theater. And as Henry Winkler shuffles himself through the aisle, he finds himself a vacant seat. As Henry Winkler turns to sit down on the chair to look up at the movie screens, a little girl sitting right behind him smiles this giant smile. She points her finger and she slowly says, Fonzie. Henry Winkler immediately snaps into the Fonzie character from Happy Days. Hey, whoa. And the lady sitting next to the little girl passes out. Henry Winkler milks the moment. Whoa, I thought this only happened on TV drama. Hey, how cool is this? Whoa. Theater manager comes out, takes care of the woman's needs. She's lying in the aisle, cold pack on her forehead. She's asked one question. Why did you pass out? She said, my little girl is autistic. And that is the very first word she has ever spoken in her entire life. In my personal theology or philosophy of our existence, having to follow someone like Walter O'Brien, how many of you were blown away by him yesterday? You know, kind of ticks me off because he took all my material. That's what I was going to talk to you about today. And yet he just kind of plagiarized and just started taking you on this roller coaster ride. With all due respect to him and his genius, in my experience, the most valuable intelligence is not artificial. At some point, we still have to focus in on the human experience. And in my experience, I believe in what I call human orbits and divine rendezvous. That people come into our path. Things happen to us in our lives, and they happen for a reason, but it's our responsibility to determine what that reason is. So we need to understand why we come to Secret Knock. As Greg Reed, one of my mentors, one of my heroes, as he has put it so eloquently, and I've quoted it in my own little way, that we become the average of the 5 people we associate with the most. Which means if you put a healthy child in the same room with a sick child, most of the time you end up with 2 sick children. Moral of the story, to be disciplined, healthy, and significant, we must be willing to pay any price and travel any distance to associate with extraordinary human beings. So we're here at Secret Knock to do something larger than ourselves, as Sharon Lecter so powerfully and inspirationally, if that's even a word, an adverb, got us to think in a different way. So I'm a storyteller. I'm the primary contributing author to all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. So with all due respect to Jack and Mark, they really never really wrote the stories. They were just genius marketers, and I love them and I honor them. And they would tell a lot of my stories, and I think that was pretty cool. I have so many books. I've written 35 books, and I brought a whole bunch to give away tonight. What I want to do is just share some quick stories, maybe conclude by lip-syncing 3 Britney Spears songs so you'll never be the same. And see if I can validate what I just challenged us to believe, and that is we can leave this magnificent performing arts center, the Marriott where a lot of us are staying, different than we were when we arrived, and never, ever return again. You know, we've heard a lot about mediocrity, and we live in this minimum requirement world, and then we come to Secret Knock and realize that, no, we don't have to stay there. And yet every single time we get on an airplane, we're reminded about this minimum requirement. this mediocrity. And I'm going to fly out in the morning, which means I've got to listen to the pre-flight safety demonstration force-fed to me and everybody else because it's their job. Any of you listen to the pre-flight safety demonstration on board the plane?
Yeah.
You need therapy, man. Anybody who has to be taught how to put a seatbelt on should not be allowed in public unsupervised. That's good. And they drive us nuts. Bring your seat up to the most upright and uncomfortable position. Alive, dead. Alive, dead. Alive, dead. I survived a plane crash, 1988, Shenandoah Valley Airport, Stanton, Virginia. Trust me, when you finally land, an inch and a half does not make a difference. There's crap all over the plane. Flight attendants lie. We're here for your safety. No, they're not. When you're going down, they're strapped in and screaming just like we are. Just once, I want them to give me the microphone. Let me tell people what really happens in an emergency. No more minimum requirement. Ladies and gentlemen, in the event of a decrease in cabin pressure, a little gold cup's going to conk you in the head. When you stop screaming, brace yourself for a 200 feet per second vertical dive. And if you're traveling with more than one child, pick your favorite. Because you ain't got another chance. You don't have any more time. What happens when we get on a plane and the flight attendant isn't just stuck in minimum requirement? Do we not remember that experience? ROI, return on investment, ROR, return on relationship. How about ROE, return on experience, so we'll never be the same? I'm on Delta Airlines. We're coming into Dallas, Texas, huge turbulence. We're bouncing all over the sky. We finally land. We bounce, we land. We bounce, we land. Taxi to the gate. Flight attendant comes over the PA system. Hi, welcome to Dallas, Texas. If you enjoyed your flight, tell your friends you flew Delta Airlines. If you did not enjoy your flight, tell your friends you flew Southwest. And everybody on the plane goes, huh? Obviously, the flight attendant had a great relationship with leadership because she then says, and please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened while Captain Kangaroo bounces us the rest of the way to the gate. That's funny. And is it contagious? Yeah, an elderly woman walking in the aisle behind me with her cane. She comes to the doorway. You the pilot? Yes, ma'am. Did we really land or did we get shot down? Secret knock can be anything we need it to be. In 10 minutes, I only have a couple of stories left that I can share. But please, I want to give you a free download of one of my books before this 10 minutes is up, and then I'll bring in 3 of my heroes. I just want you to know a little bit about why I grace this stage, and what I call the privilege of the platform is something that my hero, Dave Corbin, and Greg Reed and Sharon Lechter, all of us who actually have a chance to stand on stage and share our thoughts, that we don't take lightly. I played football for 13 years. One day in practice, the dream ended. We had a tackling drill. Coach blew the whistle. 2 of us ran into each other full speed. Only parts of our bodies that made contact. Lyle's helmet crashed into my helmet in a violent head-on collision. My right shoulder was smashed into the cutting edge of my fiberglass pads, and we slammed to the ground. And when he got off of me, my eye drooped. I had loss of speech. I couldn't talk anymore. My right side was paralyzed, and my arm dangled helplessly at my side. Coach comes running over. Clark, you all right? What happened? He says, whoa, are you from Los Angeles? I'm just kidding you. He said, you better just lay there. I said, whoa. Fast forward, I stayed paralyzed for 14 months. I went to 16 of the very best doctors in all of North America. Every one of them told me I would never get any better. Ever heard that? What happens if you believe it? You never get any better. I'm asked odd questions. Clark, why did you go to so many doctors? I kept searching for a doctor who believed I would get better. We become the average of the 5 people we associate with the most. And most importantly, I stayed paralyzed because I was asking the wrong questions. I was asking the doctors how to get better when I should have been asking myself why. And once we answer why, figuring out the how-to becomes clear and simple. Not easy, but clear and simple. So again, why are you here, and what are we supposed to do when we leave here, having met incredible individuals at our table that perhaps you don't even know exist yet because you haven't had that time to interact? Well, let me just cut to the chase. My why is to, as Sharon Lechter said, with emotion, is to somehow leave a legacy, make a difference. So people actually do leave saying, I like me best when I'm with you. I want to see you again. And we have experiences that teach us those lessons if we're just willing to take action. I've had a chance to fly all the fighter jets in the Air Force, all the bombers. I've been downrange, Afghanistan, Iraq 8 times, firing up our troops. I leave again on April 22nd to go to Iraq for 10 days. I love our military. I honor our troops. Steve, Viola, we love you, man. And we pay attention. Marcus Luttrell, one of my favorite Navy SEALs, been on the program with him so many times. You know what he taught me that is one of those one-liners that you can't let go? An armored up warrior never has to get ready. He stays ready. It's not enough for us to say, I will do my best. We must succeed in doing that which is necessary. We could go on and on with these one-liners, and you're going to hear them the rest of Secret Knock. But I had an experience that transformed my life forever. On October 23rd, I had a chance to soar to the edge of space in a U-2 reconnaissance aircraft. Changed my life forever, as it should. I had to get a presidential signature. Only a few of us civilians have had that opportunity. I've gone twice the speed of sound, flew with the Thunderbirds, did all those crazy things, and now I get a chance to soar to the edge of space. Because it's a classified mission, I can only tell you that at 70,000 feet above the Earth's surface, you see 2/3 of the state of California. At 80,000 feet, you see mapped outlines of America. And at 90,000 feet, you tear up and actually believe you can reach out and touch the face of God. I'm twisted. I'm up there all by myself, sitting in the sounds of silence, looking at the curvature of the earth, gazing in the endless blackness of the universe. And I start thinking like, wow, if we're the only ones here, this sure is a lot of wasted space. But I started asking myself very poignant questions like, are we more than mere mortal beings living on a small planet for a short season? What are we here for? And when we landed, you know what occurred to me? Everything we can take with us when we die, I had aboard with me on that aircraft. Regardless of your religious tradition, I believe we don't lose our memory. How cool would it be if our memory is that we made a difference, that our lives mattered, and that we did something beyond the call of duty to break through this minimum requirement mediocrity that all of us are so familiar with. So final story, and then maybe conclude by maybe quoting Dr. Seuss or something really original. My family matters the most to me. My dad, my hero. I've got some gold records in country music. I'm pretty prolific songwriter. Had I shot you when I met you, I'd be out of jail by now. That's a touching song. My wife ran off with my best friend, and I'm going to miss him dearly. That's a real hit. But on a serious note, one of the best songs I've ever written was called Special Man. It's about my dad. Lyrical hook, any male can be a father, but it takes a special man to be a dad. I honor my dad. I love him. My dad was a cotton farmer on the east side of Phoenix, Arizona in the early 60s. He started his own insurance company, became very, very successful, his own financial corporation. Never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. My mother, the greatest mom who ever lived, 90 years old. She was in my audience a little while ago on the front row. I acknowledged her. The audience was so gracious. They clapped for my mom. And I said, yeah, even at 90, she inspires everyone with whom she comes in contact. She's the youngest of 9 children raised by a single mom. Anybody here raised by a single mom? We love them. Anybody here a single mom? We love and honor you. My mom inspires us all. She went to her doctor for her annual physical. He said, Ruby, you need more exercise. So she signed up for an aerobics class for seniors. And sure enough, she bent over, jumped up and down, twisted and turned, perspired for over an hour. But by the time she got her leotard on, the class was over. And my mom's on the front row. That's not true. That's not funny. I love my mother. Never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. The story I want you to remember about my dad was his 6.5-year battle with cancer that taught us all, because two months before he passed away, he gathers the family together and he says, what are all of you learning from this? Why is this happening? And what am I supposed to learn so perhaps I don't have to battle cancer and can learn the lessons of life, which is what Secret Knock is all about. I wanted to be by my dad's bedside when he took his last breath, and that didn't happen for me. I was up in Seattle, Washington for 2 days to speak to 2 large trade associations downtown at the convention center. I'm staying out of town at the Seattle Airport and Marriott Hotel. It's Friday morning, October 12th. I've showered, I've shaved, put on my coat, put on my tie, I'm ready for the day. Phone rings. I think it's my ride downtown to the convention center, so I pick up the phone and I almost flippantly say, I'll be right there. But for some odd reason, I just stood there. 15 seconds of silence later, my younger brother's voice pierces the quietness of the call. Danny? I said, what's up, Paul? He said, Dad died this morning at 7 a.m. I said, whoa. Sat down on the bed and on the edge of my bed, and the tears just started to fall. I'd give anything to have him back. One more day I have regrets, and I don't wish regrets on any of us. I said to my brother, Paul, how's Mom? He said, she's all right. I said, give her a big hug and a kiss for me, will you please? Tell her I'll phone her as quickly as I can. And then he asks me the gajillion-dollar question in my mind that we need to ask at Secret Knock before we leave. He says, what are you going to do? May I amend that with Sharon Lecter's comment? What are we going to do that no one else is willing to do? Competitive advantage isn't doing more than your competition. Competitive advantage is created by doing what our competition is not willing to do. What are you willing to do when you leave here that most people aren't willing to do? That's the question, and that's the answer to why. I said, well, Paul, Mom and Dad have spent an entire lifetime teaching us to keep our promises, to keep our commitments. I said, I can't imagine what it would be like to be a meeting planner with a 90-minute slot to fill 3,500 people in the audience and not have the speaker show. I got to go keep that commitment, that promise, and I'm going to spend the night, speak on Saturday, and then I'm going to hustle home. God knows I need your support. Hopefully I can give you some of mine. I hung up the phone with my brother, and I just sat there and openly wept like a wee child. This is my dad, my hero, gone. 15 minutes later, the phone rings again. This time it is my ride. I tell him I'll be right down. I go into the washroom. I splash some water on my face, try to freshen up to the best of my ability. I leave my hotel room, and I get on the elevator. And as the elevator doors start to close, the corner of the bellman's cart nudges its way through the opening, and they bing, back open. And on the elevator comes this way overzealous psycho bellman. I'll never forget him as long as I live. He's pushing this runaway cart onto the elevator, forces me back to the right rear corner of the elevator, and I assume the elevator position. Doors close, we start going down, and he is relentless. Whoa, did you see the beautiful sunshine? He said, I've lived up here in Seattle, Washington, 15 years, rained every single day. You must have brought the good weather with you. How you doing? I said, I'm fine. You know when someone's been staring at you for a while and you don't even have to get eye contact, you can just kind of feel it, sense it. All of a sudden he says, hey, mister, you're not fine. You've been crying. I said, yeah. I said, I just found out my dad died this morning and I'm really sad. He said, whoa. Elevator comes to the lobby, the doors open, he goes his way. I meet my ride. He drives me downtown to the convention center. I'm introduced and I make my speech. I had to dig deeper than I'd ever dug in my whole entire life to make that speech. But the message for me at Secret Knock is you can if you think you can, right, Miss Lecter? You can if you think you can, if you make winning personal, success personal. Little nuggets that can change us forever. I love you, I honor you. I got to the end of my speech and I said, you know, I'd like to conclude with a little song from one of my albums. And I said, the reason why I want to sing this little song is because my dad died this morning. And it's the first time he's ever heard me sing it in public. And again, I dug deeper than I'd ever dug, maybe sang the song better than I ever sung it. I ended my speech and had the driver take him to the Seattle Aquarium. Am I now a hypocrite? Let's honor those who have the guts to run towards the sound of the guns, Mr. Viola. No, I'm saying, wait a minute. I want to get away from the distractions of family, the deadlines of work, and ask better questions so I can get better answers. Secret Knock. We must be willing to pay any price and travel any distance to associate with extraordinary human beings. Greg Reed gets it. Thank God he gets it because he's invited all of us to come together so we can meet the right person to do something bigger than we've ever thought possible and leave here different than we've ever been our entire lives. So I'm watching the fish swim. I'm watching the otters float on their backs. They reminded me of some of the offensive linemen I used to play ball with. And that's when I started coining phrases like pain is a signal to grow, not to suffer. Once you learn the lesson the pain teaches you, the pain goes away in life. There's no mistakes, only lessons. Having learned the lessons and come to grips with my mortality, I had the driver take me back to the Seattle Airport Marriott Hotel, and here's where you come into my story. Here's where you come into what I take as the essence of Secret Knock. I walk into my hotel room, and there on the dresser of drawers is a basket of fruit. And it's not your basic basket of fruit that's been delivered from the hotel gift shop. We've all seen these little color cellophane, little bow, little sterile stamp card. They never get our names right. Thanks for staying with us, Sergio. This was the coolest gift I'd ever received. It was a broken, smushed basket. It looked like it was someone's second thought, maybe after hours, no resources available, and they still wanted to make a difference. Can any of you relate? I can see this hotel employee walking through the the lobby, they look in the garbage bin, they're like, oh, whoa, that's too good to throw away. Wait, Greg Reed will be really proud of us. Do more with less. They retrieved it, they took it to my room. One side of the basket was completely smushed in. In my basket of fruit, there was a tomato, a big giant carrot, and a handwritten card that said, Mr. Clark, I'm sure sorry your dad died. I'm supposed to get off work at 5 o'clock. I've asked to stay on all night long so I can be here just for you. Room service closes at 10 o'clock. The kitchen has agreed to stay open all night long so they can be here just for you. If you need anything, just call and ask for me. Signed, James, the bellman in the elevator. He's not the only guy who signed my little card. Every single hotel employee that night at the Seattle Airport Marriott Hotel signed my little card. I still have it matted and framed, hanging on my office wall to this day. Let me debrief and conclude. Here we have the youngest person in the entire employee payroll who seemingly gets it. Gets what? Make winning personal. Make self-mastery permanent. Make execution automatic. Don't get ready, stay ready. Become a Navy SEAL. Mentally, physically, emotionally. Here we have the lowest paid person in the entire employee payroll. Who gets it? Gets what? Money's not a motivator. In the military, we give medals to those who are willing to sacrifice themselves so that others may live. In business, we give bonuses to those who are willing to sacrifice the others so that they may survive. We've got it backwards. And the last thing, loyalty, loyal friends, a reason to stay in touch at that deeper level that we've all created and experienced here at Secret Knock, to continually participate with Greg Reed and everything he puts together. Why? He has this ability to put together extraordinary human beings who trigger passion, creativity, imagination, perseverance, all the things we need to talk about. Loyalty. Every time I speak in Seattle, Washington, every time I speak anywhere, I'm relegated to stay at the property where they have the meeting. Some of us are staying at the Marriott down the road. Towels in my room are so fluffy, I'm having a hard time getting my suitcase closed. Do you find that when you travel? But every time I speak in Seattle, Washington, I always stay at the Seattle Airport Marriott Hotel, even if I have to rent a car at my own expense, drive an hour and a half out of my own way, because of a young man and a brand that basically teaches us what we all need to know. Take care of each other, and each other will take care of each other. Let me conclude. Can you pull out your phone? Can you put up a slide here, Dave? Yeah, please. Just pull out your phone. I just want to give you one of my books. So in the message, you type in 801-980-9291. And then, sorry, she's like, move. Sorry, I was like in your way. I'm so sorry. And push send, and you're going to get an email opportunity, a link. Go to the email, and you'll receive a free download of a couple of my books actually in your inbox. That'll be a chance to stay in touch.